Nachleben, the afterlife, and what afterlife, this is an important term when it comes to classical reception, and what afterlife is when a text is alive. Then he talks about the role of the, maybe we might use another pen, because it's kind of, yeah, don't worry. The objective, oh yeah, that's the right one. The objective observer, is there an objective observer? Can that ever be true? And also the untimelessness, as we would say today, he doesn't use that kind of term, but it's, I think, quite appropriate to use it right now. The untimelessness of the observer are that kind of things. And he says, well, no. So the 4 points that he brings into the debate and kind of asks us to challenge is, first, meaning. So actually, this is a funny question, because what does meaning actually means? Is there an original meaning? Is there an authentic meaning? Can you kind of read that meaning if you are reading many papers, if you're doing your homework, if you're a good student, or, is there an apocalyptic moment that you're studying in your office and then, meaning comes up and says, hello, I'm the original meaning of the Greek text, or not? So he quite challenges and problematizes and questions the meaning and what meanings mean. And actually, he does so by saying that the meaning is generated socially and culturally, and also that meaning it has to do a lot with how we read. Okay, because we were not always reading. We are taught to read in our family, in the school, in a cultural context. So let's say I am reading differently if I have lived my whole life in Europe, and I'm reading differently if I'm coming from a different background, from the East, or from everywhere. So meaning has to do a lot with how we were actually trained to read text, and has to do is it's something quite different and diverse from area to area and from period to period, because let's not forget that, for example, there were many texts back in the Victorian times, such as on some, let's say, works by Plutarch, which refer to homosexual relationships, or so on and so forth. For example, Amatorius, and that kind of work back then in the Victorian times, because of that kind of conservative society, many people said, well, this is not an authentic work, this is not by Plutarch. So they read Amatorius quite differently than we read it today, because they said, well, this is inappropriate, this is obscene material, or that cannot be written by such a genius as Plutarch was. So the ways, so actually the meanings that we have to do a lot with how we read, and how we read has to do a lot with time and has to do a lot with space. So it's something socio-culturally constructed, whether we want it or not. So the second thing that he brings to the debate, and I think this is actually a tribute to post-structuralism and deconstruction. So I cannot, however, he doesn't acknowledge it that much. He does, but in a problematic way. This is that everything is a text. So, except for meaning, text in the post-structuralist sense of the word. It's something quite extensive. His text is everything that can be analyzed, everything that can be read, everything that can be interpreted. So in the post-structuralist sense of the word, everything is a text, which actually means what? That means that Sophocles' tragedy is a text. That means that a modern Greek translation of Sophocles' tragedy is a text. That means that a contemporary postmodern performance of Sophocles' Antigone is a text. That means that a ceremony or a ritual or a marriage is a text. That means that me here addressing you, that I am a text that can be analyzed. Why have I chosen to wear that kind of shirt? Why I'm dressed this way? And what all these things mean. So everything is a text, and everything needs to be analyzed and interpreted once again. So by saying this, he actually says we have to gain a lot by analyzing a performance, by seeing a film about antiquity and trying to find out what that kind of director wants to say there, why the actor is playing that character that way, and that kind of thing kind of reconfigures and reshapes our view of antiquity. So we do have to gain a lot by this kind of extended notion of the term text.